Alright guys, I'm Dan, welcome back to the channel. It's another episode of, I don't know, what seems to be Stoutmas lately. I just keep drinking dark bourbon barrel-aged beers. It's no different today. I'm clocking in at a big 12.4% ABV with the Lagunitas Willittized Stout 2023 version. Highly limited series and release. I look for this beer every single year. Again, this was last year's version, so it's over a year old at time of recording. It's December 7th time of recording. And I'm thrilled to try to drink this with you guys and see if it's still damn good, because it was pretty dang good last year too. I don't know that this was my favorite version of Willittized. I feel like there were some other years that I did like maybe a little bit more. But with all that being said, this is always a fantastic beer at like $13, $14 a six-pack. Can't remember if they move it to a 4-pack or not, but either way, super cheap and readily available, guys, once a year. So every time we get Lagunitas Willittized, we are thrilled to have it. So again, 12.4% aged in rye oak barrels. Nothing to note on the side of the bottle. It's been stored in my basement. Has not been refrigerated, but it's pretty cold, actually. It's pretty darn cold down here. I put it on the floor. I don't know if I can see a date. I'll fast forward that part. So this is from last year. It's at least a year out, guys. Let's get into this one. Let's not waste any more time. Super stoked to try this one. And I'm actually pretty tired today, and I could go for some coffee, and I hope that this is still decently coffee heavy, guys, because I do enjoy coffee in my stouts and in my beers. Let's get it into the glass. Not as viscous as Bourbon County. We've been drinking lots of Bourbon County lately. So many different years of Bourbon County. This comes off a little bit more brown, a little bit lighter in the glass, but still pretty jet black at the end of the day with some nice head retention. Beige, creamy head retention at 12.4, won't lie. Let's get a nose. It looks great. Looks great. Look at this. Still coffee. A little bit of spice from the rye. A little bit of woodiness. Nice fudgy note in there too. Maybe like a little, I say always ganache, but it does have a little fudge ganache accent over it, a little chocolate cake accent. A little pastry, but it smells roasty too. So it's not just like the espresso coffee roast. Not only just that, colliding with the rye barrel, which is a little bit of peppery fire in your nose. Not a lot though, because it's settled down quite a bit now, you're out. But it's just accenting with a little bit of that sweetness, chocolate cake, a little touch of vanilla. Maybe a little dark chocolate raisin. It smells really good, actually. And I feel like it's drying out a little bit as it opens up. It's not just like a sweet bomb. These aren't typically very sweet beers. But I am getting nice notes of sweetness on this that maybe I don't always remember 100%. It smells really nice. It smells like a malty, dark, chocolatey coffee beer. It smells really good. Again, that rye, just a little accent of a spice over there coming over the coffee notes. Let's dive in. It smells good. This feels pretty cold for being down here with not refrigeration. Man, it feels like it's like 60 degrees. Who knows? Maybe it's like 58. Let's get into this one, guys. Willittized Coffee Stout. 2023, cheers. Still pretty darn delicious. So it's dry and roasty on the back end. Rye barrel still flexing. Hasn't faded too much. It's still got a nice little bit of bite to it. But I feel like it has matured a little bit and it's let those other notes open up. The rye settled out a little bit. It's still just a little kick of that peppery spice. But I feel like this is never too hot anyways. 12.4 it's a big beer, but I feel like it's not always like a bitey beer on your tongue. This is a very well-rounded beer, still roasty and dry. Yeah, it gives you a little bit of that sweetness, a little bit of that fudgy chocolate, a little bit of chocolate cake vanilla notes, blending into this nice, subtle, mature barrel. This is good. This is really good still. Dark chocolate raisin, actually a touch of licorice, a little touch of leather too. Not quite to the level of like campfire smoky, but it's heading that way. It's approaching campfire smoke. And maybe it's the tobacco-y leather thing. This would be really good with a cigar. I feel like it's dry enough and it's still got a little bit of that sweetness mingling with your palate a little bit. Dry roasty, but not too roasty. Not too dry. Still just beautiful mediums of both sides. So yes, a little bit of that sweetness. Jumps into a little bit of that dry, roasty, subtle, slight rye barrel bitterness. Maybe the dark chocolate bitterness coming in. I just love everything. Everything's perfect. Like nothing's overplayed. Like the sweetness is perfect. It's not too dry, not too roasty, not too faded. Like everything's still really nice in this bottle. Nothing got too faded, and everything's mature. Like this barrel subtly settled out, and again matured itself a little bit, playing with those other factors in the beer that just make it perfect on the palate. Just really, really tasty beer. I don't have much to say. Maybe a little bit of cocoa dust, a little cocoa bite on the back end. And this is a treat. Like, it's not too desserty where I'm going to get tired of it. And it's not too bitey where I'm angry about it. I'm still just getting a little bit of that rye, peppery woodiness. And it's just really nice little bite. A little bit of chew. And there's just that woody, leathery thing in there too. Like that seems bigger than I remember. I feel like, again, this would be really nice with a cigar. You know, if you like super sweet beers, this is not your cup of tea, but it'll still scratch that itch a little bit. But you're gonna want to enjoy rye barrels. You're gonna want to enjoy a little bit of woodiness. You're gonna want a little bit of that peppery bite. I know, and you know, it's still some dark fruit in there. A little bit of that raisiny, plum, fig, licorice. Subtly, I feel like, you know, not Bourbon County level of dark fruits, but it's just it's scraping the surface a little bit. And again, raisiny, licorice, just a, and I don't like licorice, by the way. This is just the right amount, just a little slight kiss of it. This beer's really tasty. You know, it lacks a little bit in the viscosity. It's coming off like Bourbon County beers. If this seems, you know, a little bit less robust on the palate, a little bit lighter. It's more roasty than Bourbon County. It's just lighter, airier beer at the end of the day, even at 12.4. Those beers are just like motor oil, man. This one's a little bit easier to drink, truthfully. A little bit, just touch less complex. It's got a lot of different things in here, but they don't just submerge your palate. Just nice little touches that coat it. It's a wonderful beer. It's a wonderful beer. I'm not upset by this. I remember liking this. I always usually do. Is this the best version of Willittized? I didn't think it was at the time last year, and I don't think it's maybe the best version I've ever had in general, but it's still very good. So I'm gonna bump it up. I don't know. I feel like I went with like a 4.25 or 4.29 last year, and I'm gonna bump this up because I feel like the maturity is really nice on this and just makes an easy sipper at 12.4. So I'm gonna go with 4.3 out of 5. That's where I stand today on the Willittized Coffee Stout from Lagunitas, guys. 2023 version, aged very well in the bottle. So if you want to get it, and you still have it rather, I recommend that you do drink it. It's a very nice year out, wonderful factors that played off of one another, matured, but not too much maturity. Over now, guys. Cheers.